My girlfriend took all my savings and bought a vacation with her friends, so I locked her out. Changed my number, and she still can't find me. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I can still feel the weight of what happened like a scar I carry under my skin. Back then, I thought I had life figured out. I worked long hours at a job I didn't love, but tolerated because every paycheck meant progress toward a goal, a safety net, a future, maybe even a down payment on a house someday. Saving money became my quiet pride. While my friends blew theirs on gadgets or weekend parties, I stacked mine away, little by little. When I met her, let's call her Maya, it felt like the universe finally gave me a reward for my patience. She was warm, funny, and had this way of making me feel like I was finally living instead of just surviving. In the beginning, she never asked about money. She'd tease me about being responsible to a fault, but it was always in this playful, affectionate tone. I thought she admired me for it, but slowly little comments started slipping through. She'd say, "Life's too short to just save," or, "You should enjoy it while you're young." I brushed it off. Everyone has different attitudes about money, right? Still, I noticed the way her eyes lingered when she saw me checking my account on my phone, or when I mentioned how close I was to hitting another milestone. I didn't think much of it at the time. Love has a way of blinding you, of smoothing over cracks that should have been warning signs. And I was so sure, so certain, that this relationship was built on trust. I had no idea those playful jokes were the first threads being pulled loose. Because soon, she wasn't just making comments. She was testing how far she could push. It started small, almost harmless. Maya would ask if I could spot her $20 for gas, or if I could cover dinner just this once, because she left her wallet at home. I didn't think twice about it. Relationships are about sharing, right? But then just this once turned into a habit. The money never came back and the excuses piled up. One night, while we were out with her friends, she joked in front of everyone, "He's basically my personal ATM." They laughed, and I forced a smile, but inside it stung. I remember gripping my drink tighter, my palms sweating as I tried to shake it off. I told myself she didn't mean it, that it was just a dumb joke. But the jokes didn't stop. They evolved. She'd say things like, "When are you going to take me on a real vacation?" Or, "What's the point of saving if you never spend?" I tried to laugh along, but deep down I felt cornered. Every time the implication was clear. My savings weren't just mine anymore. When I pushed back, she'd roll her eyes and say, "Relax, you act like money is life or death." But for me, it was. That account was years of missed birthdays, skipped nights out, exhaustion from double shifts. It was the one thing that made me feel secure in a world that had never given me much security. Still, I let it slide. I told myself this was just a difference in values, nothing to break a relationship over. And yet, something shifted inside me. I started feeling nervous every time she mentioned money. Like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I didn't know it yet. But the shoe was about to come crashing down in the worst way possible. The shift became impossible to ignore. What started as jokes turned into guilt trips that dug under my skin. Maya would sigh when I said no to expensive dinners, then mutter, "You're so boring sometimes." Other girls don't have to beg their boyfriends to treat them, I'd argue back, telling her I was saving for something bigger, something lasting. But she had a way of twisting my words, making me feel like the problem wasn't her demands, but my reluctance to live a little. One evening, she looked at me across the couch, scrolling through her phone, and said, "Look at Sarah's boyfriend. He just surprised her with a weekend getaway. Do you even want me to feel special?" My chest tightened. It wasn't just a suggestion. It was an accusation, an attack on my worth as a partner. I remember stammering, trying to defend myself. "It's not that I don't want to. It's that I need to think about the future." "About us," she laughed. Actually laughed. "The future? You act like we're going to be old and wrinkled tomorrow. Why can't you just be spontaneous for once?" Her friends didn't make it easier. They'd drop comments at group dinners like, "Maya deserves to be spoiled," shooting me glances as if I was failing some test. The pressure built like a vice tightening around me, squeezing the confidence out of every decision I made. I started questioning myself. Was I being too rigid? Too controlling? Was saving really selfish when the woman I loved wanted to enjoy life with me? But late at night, lying awake with her sleeping peacefully beside me, I couldn't shake the gnawing fear that I was being played. That my hard-earned future was slowly slipping into her hands. And soon, I'd learn just how right that fear was. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember because it was payday, and checking my account had become a small ritual, one of the few moments that gave me peace. But this time when I logged in, my heart slammed against my ribs. The balance wasn't just low, it was empty. Years of sacrifices, gone in a single swipe. I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling as I refreshed the page, praying it was some kind of glitch. It wasn't. Every cent I had carefully tucked away had vanished overnight. Panic surged through me as I called the bank, my voice cracking while I begged them to explain. The representative confirmed it. The withdrawal had been authorized. The money was gone. All I could choke out was, but I didn't touch it. When Maya came over later that evening, I confronted her. My voice was shaking, but I tried to hold myself together. Did you take the money? Her response will haunt me forever. She didn't look scared. She didn't even flinch. She rolled her eyes and said, "Oh my God, yes. You're so dramatic. We needed this trip. You never do anything fun, so I did it for us." I felt the floor tilt beneath me. "Us? You emptied everything I worked for without asking me?" She shrugged, her tone dismissive. "It's just money. You'll make it back." Stop acting like the world ended, but for me it had. That account wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was my future, my security, my proof that I wasn't just treading water in life. And the worst part? She wasn't done revealing how deep her betrayal ran. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd at least booked something for us. That was the only thread of hope I was holding onto as I stood there, my chest burning. I asked, "Where exactly are we going?" That's when she laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A cruel, mocking one. "We?" "Babe, I booked a trip for me and the girls. We're going to Bali. You wouldn't have come anyway. You hate spending money." For a moment I couldn't breathe. My head buzzed, my ears rang, and I just stared at her, waiting for her to say she was joking. But she wasn't. She had drained my entire savings, not for a once-in-a-lifetime trip for us, not for something we could share, but for a luxury vacation with her friends. Are you serious? My voice cracked, betraying the storm building inside me. She tilted her head like I was the unreasonable one. "You should be happy for me. I finally get to live a little. Honestly, you should thank me for taking the weight of that boring savings account off your shoulders." I felt something inside me snap. All those nights of overtime. All the birthdays I skipped because I couldn't afford gifts and savings at the same time. All those hours spent calculating every expense to inch closer to security. She had thrown it all away like it meant nothing, because to her, it really did mean nothing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and demand she understand the gravity of what she'd done. But all I could do was stand there, numb, as she checked her phone and muttered, "Ugh, I need to pack." It was in that moment I realized. She wasn't just careless, she was dangerous, and soon the whole world would know just how proud she was of betraying me. The very next day, the photos started rolling in. Bright, sun-soaked shots of Maya and her friends boarding their flight, clinking champagne glasses, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. And there, in the captions, she bragged, "Finally living the life I deserve. Thanks to my man for making it possible." My phone buzzed non-stop. Friends from work, old classmates, even cousins messaged me, some congratulating me, others teasing me. "Bro, didn't know you were financing a girls' trip," one wrote with a string of laughing emojis. Another said, "You're too soft, man. She's got you wrapped around her finger." Every ping felt like a knife twisting deeper. My private shame had been turned into a public joke. She hadn't just taken my money, she'd stolen my dignity. That night, I couldn't stop scrolling through the pictures. Maya in designer sunglasses I knew she couldn't afford, sipping cocktails by an infinity pool, her friends tagging me in stories with winks and smirks. One of them wrote, "Best boyfriend ever," as if I had willingly handed over everything. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. My hands shook, my jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth would crack. But what broke me most was the memory of every sacrifice I had made, every missed night out, every lonely meal at home while she went off with her friends, and realizing it was all being paraded online as her victory. And the worst part? She didn't see it as betrayal. She saw it as proof she was winning. But deep inside, something darker was growing in me, a quiet rage that told me this wasn't over. And when she came back from that trip, she'd find out exactly what I meant. While Maya was off parading on beaches I'd only ever seen in pictures, I was sitting alone in my dark apartment, staring at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw numbers, the balance of my account, the endless hours I had traded for those savings, and now the mocking posts of her smiling with money that wasn't hers. I kept replaying the same thoughts. How could she do this? How could I let this happen? I felt like a fool, like I had built my future out of glass and handed her the hammer. I remember one night in particular. I sat at the kitchen table, bills spread out in front of me, the cheap fluorescent light buzzing overhead. My chest felt like it was caving in as I calculated how much I had left in my checking account. Not enough for comfort. Not enough for the security I'd promised myself. Just scraps. Years of sacrifice erased in a week of cocktails and selfies. And the loneliness, it was unbearable. My friends didn't understand. To them, I looked like the pathetic boyfriend who got played. No one saw the years of discipline, the way I had clawed my way out of debt, the way I had planned every step of my life so I'd never feel powerless again. But here I was, powerless, stripped bare, my dignity shredded by Instagram filters and snide comments. For the first time in years, I felt small, disposable, like I was just a stepping stone for her and her friends to laugh about over margaritas. I thought I had hit my limit when she drained my account, but sitting in that silence, surrounded by bills and the hum of that light, I realized I had only just touched the edge of despair, and when she came back home she would push me even further into the abyss. When Maya finally came back from her trip, she strutted through my door like she was a celebrity returning from a world tour. Tanned skin, shopping bags dangling from her arms, laughter still lingering in her voice as she scrolled through the pictures on her phone. I stood there, hollow-eyed, waiting. My chest was heavy, my palms damp. I had rehearsed a dozen speeches in my head, but when I opened my mouth, all that came out was, "Why would you do this to me?" She barely looked up. Do what? Take everything I worked for. Drain my account. Leave me with nothing. My voice cracked. I was shaking, not with fear, but with the rage I'd been swallowing for weeks. She rolled her eyes, setting her bags down with a thud. God, you're still on about that. It's money. You act like I killed someone. Stop being so dramatic. Her words hit me like a slap. Money? Just money? Did she not see the blood and sweat behind every dollar? I stepped closer, my voice sharper. That was my future. That was our future. She laughed in my face. Future? You live like an old man saving for retirement. No wonder you're so miserable. Honestly, I did you a favor. Something inside me snapped. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, like all the walls were pressing in on me. I had never felt so unseen, so disrespected. In that moment, I realized this wasn't love. It wasn't even partnership. It was theft wrapped in manipulation. And if I didn't take control now, I'd lose more than money. I'd lose myself. I didn't tell her then. But in my mind, the decision was already made. And while she was busy gloating, I started planning. The rage didn't fade. If anything, it sharpened into something colder, something focused. While Maya lounged around, talking about her next trip, I sat silently, my mind racing through every detail of my life with her. Every dollar she took, every lie she told, every smug laugh that still rang in my ears. That night, while she slept in my bed like nothing had happened, I got up quietly, sat at the desk, and pulled out my laptop. My fingers trembled. Not from fear this time, but from clarity. I logged into every account, every subscription, every shared bill. Piece by piece, I began cutting her out. The next day, while she went shopping with a credit card I knew would soon stop working, I packed her belongings into boxes. Clothes, shoes, makeup, everything she had ever left in my apartment. I set them neatly by the door, almost surgical in my precision. Then came the locks. I called the landlord and arranged for them to be changed. When the new keys clicked in my hand, it felt like the first breath of freedom I'd taken in months. I didn't stop there. I called the phone company, canceled the shared plan, and got myself a new number. I deleted her from every corner of my digital world, social media, email, everything. To her, I would soon become a ghost. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was ruthless. For once, I wasn't reacting. I was acting. And with every step I felt stronger. By the time Maya came back that evening, arms full of bags, she didn't know it yet. But her kingdom was gone. And the look on her face when she realized. That would be the only repayment I'd ever get. The moment finally came the next evening. I heard her heels clicking down the hallway before she even reached the door. Then came the rattling of the knob. Click, click. Nothing. At first it was confusion. "Babe, the lock's jammed," she called out, her voice light, almost amused. But when silence answered her, the tone shifted. The rattling grew violent. "Open the door! What the hell is going on?" I stood on the other side, my back pressed against the wall, heart pounding like a drum in my ears. I could see her shadow. Through the peephole, see her yanking at the handle with both hands. Then came the pounding, sharp, furious fists slamming against wood. "Are you kidding me right now?" she screamed. "You can't just lock me out. This is my place too." Her words made me laugh bitterly under my breath. Her place? She had taken my money, my future, my dignity, and now she claimed ownership of the home she'd never paid a dime toward. I didn't answer. That was the hardest part. Every nerve in me wanted to scream back, to unload months of swallowed anger. But instead, I stayed quiet, letting her own rage echo down the hallway. She banged harder, her voice cracking into desperation. "You're ruining my life! Do you hear me? You're ruining everything!" No, I thought. I was saving mine. Finally, her voice broke into sobs, angry and frantic. She threatened to call the cops, to tell everyone I was abusive, to ruin my reputation. Still, I said nothing. Just silence, thick and suffocating, between us. And in that silence, I realized this was the first time she couldn't control me. But she wasn't done. Not by a long shot.